Hey guys, it's Spacey, and we are back with more Piofiore 1926, continuing the Alternativa route, about to start or split off. Could we kind of blocked the end of the last part? Look, it was going on forever, man. We were here for like 3 days. So this was the point, our save point, where we're supposed to save, in order to make our choice for our ending. So it was as good a place as any to technically start. So we are going to choose the Visconti because we are going to go and get Gilbert's kind of ending technically. So yeah, hold on. My volume, here we go. So we choose the Visconti. Gil, would you mind if I went to stay with the Visconti family for a while?
Grazie, signorina. I'm honored you chose us. Been a long while since you visited. Bet everyone would be happy to see you again.
Yes, it has been quite a while. I'd stayed with them before and felt assured of my safety there. I feel bad about, leaving Dante behind, but, I want to stop the Phantom. I didn't want him to get his way. Stress. Oh, well, that's true. Actually... Well, yes, because, let's see. I noticed that when I was looking. Okay, we still get the same Meanwhile story. Chapter 2, I think, is when it starts to split. Because that's when this Meanwhile story is going to be the same. Because I kind of noticed that, and that's why I was like, is it in the Meanwhile story? I was very confused for a hot second before I realized it was a choice, and then whatever. So, Stress is the same. Chapter 2 is when it will split. But I'm still very curious to see, and we won't know until we finish Gil in a couple of hours, and then go on to Orlok, how it's going to be different. I mean, obviously it's going to be different, the scenes, but I feel like the scenes like this, where we're all together, we should be able to skip them, because it should be the same. It's going to be really annoying if it's not. You know what I mean? We can't skip it. Sorry. Anyway.
What's the matter, Nicola? After the meeting adjourned, called out to Nicholas, seeing him deep in thought about something. Nicola began to share what was on his mind.
I was thinking about breaking the seal. It's not something we can force her to do, but we can't find another way of retrieving the relic, and the need arises.
I doubt we'll have a choice if that happens. Not that I'm in favor of forcing her against her will.
I just like the fact that you're even having this conversation. It's kind of inappropriate. I'm not into the idea of forcing her against her will, but if we have to, woo! No! No, none of this, none of it, not at all. Holy shit.
I understood how Nicola was feeling. We might have been thinking the same thing.
If the Key Maiden was someone we didn't know, if she learned that she needed to sleep with Dante to break the seal to the relic, I'd probably persuade her to fulfill her role and help preserve our family.
When Yang said it's something we should consider in our position. Of course, if that happened, we make sure she would never worry for money or for her life.
I mean, again, it's like you're basically... Okay. I just want to throw this out there. This is a very inappropriate conversation that Gil and Nicola are having about forcing me to, quote-unquote, fulfill my duty to break the seal. What the fuck? There's just a lot of what the fuck happening here. But also, you're basically making Dante's choice for him, too. Because, I guess the implication is oh, Dante would absolutely do it. But, maybe Dante's not that type of person either and is I don't think I want to do that either. You know what I mean? It's they're just leaving this Dante is down to pound. You know what I mean? But, just because you two perverts would be well, we have to do it, and I'm totally into it. I'm just throwing this out there, Jesus. Good God, could you... it's just a reminder that they're all kind of trash in a way. As good as we think they are, at least Yang wears his trash openly and is it's all right here. These two are no, oh my God, we don't want to make... Well, if we have to, we'll just pay her off, it'll be fine. Excuse me. I need you to take me away from this. Let's run away. Seriously, Oliver would never. Okay, that's all I'm just gonna say. Oliver would never. Anyway. Still. If only she wasn't the Key Maiden. We wouldn't have become so invested in her desires above our mission. And despite needing to protect our families, we're still putting her ahead of everything else. I like how in this Nicola is like, damn it! If it wasn't her, then we wouldn't give a shit. Damn her for existing. Like, it's just a little like... I mean, I guess it's nice that you're putting me above things, but it's also you're just regretting that you are, and it's a little strange. But then again, this is absolutely the Nicola we know and love, so yeah. Well, we're all human, aren't we? I chuckled and patted Nicola on the shoulder. Man, I can only imagine what you're worrying about as the underboss. I cannot believe we had to have this conversation. I didn't want him to get his way. I wanted to do something to stop him from toying with the town. I wanted to help. Well, the only way to do that, apparently, is, like... Well, you know what's, I think, the worst part about that? Is just that conversation existed. But... yeah, because all the Meanwhile stories are different, so, like, shit. It's gonna be a whole different game. But... it's the fact that you're like, okay, Nicola being like, I kind of feel like we should maybe, and like, you know, Yang straight up like, let's do it, let's go. We're gonna do this, let's break the seal, guys. Group effort. You know, like, the trash that he is. Orlok's over there like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Dante, as far as you know, is like, yeah, we're not doing that. And it's not just protecting me, it's also maybe he's like, I don't really want to be put under that kind of pressure. A little bit much. But you think, like, Nicola and Gil are going to protect us. And then they're back there like, I mean, if we've got to force it, we'll figure out a way to do it. We'll just pay her off. It'll be fine. Excuse me? What the... what? Hello? What a great way to start this route. We should have ended... If I knew it was going to be that fast, I would have ended the last part there. And we would have just been like, well, just... The Lion, the Witch, and the audacity of those bitches. Jesus. Anyway. I stayed in the same room the last time I came to the Visconti. Perhaps it was because they had taken such good care of me back then that I felt safe here. I felt nostalgia thinking back on those times. I awoke and looked at the clock with wide eyes. I'd been so comfortable during the night that I had accidentally overslept. I hurriedly climbed out of bed and got ready much later than usual. I don't know why, because I saw Gil there, and then I saw my name, but it took me, like, that little blue screen moment was, like, me going to about to say it in my voice, but then also Gil's voice, but then my voice, and I, like, it was a weird ping-pong fucking tournament going on there. Jesus. Good morning, Gil. I don't know why my brain totally froze.
Hey, morning. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. It's nice having you stay over at my place.
Seeing Gil's dazzling smile greet me, I felt myself blush a bit. You know what's really funny about this, though? He's like, oh, yeah, flirting with me a little, whatever. And then he's like, well, I mean, if we gotta have her bone Dante, we're gonna have to make him do it. But then you're gonna go down the route, and then he's gonna be like, I wish I hadn't said that, because there's no way I'm letting another man touch you. Well, you know what? No. You said it, Gil. You and Nicola were plotting, and you were so... I guess I'm just gonna have to sleep with Dante now. How do you like that? Yeah, you don't. You don't, do you? Yeah. Now, when it's all your property, you're talking... Asshole. I'm just... I really wish we had heard them and we had a little bit of fucking spite in us. I'm just going to sleep with Dante and break. No, well, you don't get a say in it. Because you were basically ready to be like, well, if we got to do it, we got to do it. Not caring about my feelings, so I don't care about yours right now, Gilbert. Oliver, pack my bags. We're leaving. Pack yours too. Both of us, we're going. Seeing Gil's dazzling smile greet me, I felt myself blush a bit. Oh, Oliver! This is me, for real blushing. Good morning, Miss Spacey. Sleep well? Yes, very well. I would sleep better if I had you next to me to hold on to, Oliver. I'm just saying, I need like a body pillow. You're the perfect shape. Like, what is it? Feels just like yesterday that I was here with the two of you. I'm I'm just happy, that's all. I really wish we had gotten a really cute Oliver CG. We didn't get one at the beginning of the game, and I'm very disappointed. Well, the beginning of this route. Gil and Oliver exchanged silent looks. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said...
No, you got us all wrong.
Gil looked at me and gave a broad smile.
You can stay here for the rest of your life if you want.
I can? Oliver, I didn't know you felt that way about me. I love you too. Listen, I'm sorry. This is an Oliver fangirl page right now. Huh?
Gilbert, stop. I understand how you feel, but it's too early for this sort of thing. I meant no offense by it.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of offended by the way this part started, is all I'm saying. Gil chuckled before continuing. I know the shit you said about me behind my back.
You know your way around the place, so feel free to spend your time however you like. I already told my guys you'll be staying here, and they're all thrilled. They said the place is a whole lot brighter when you're around.
Thank you. That's actually really nice, because, half of the Foul Zone people hated me when I was there. Just saying. They were, really mad about my existence in the building, and, here, the Visconti loves me, so I'm just... And this has Oliver. I love you, Dante, but I might have to leave and stay here forever, which is just weird for me. Because, I never thought I'd, forsake anybody for Gil. It's not that I didn't like Gil, you know what I mean? He's suave and sexy, and he just comes out of fucking nowhere and sweeps you off your feet. I've been saying this whole game. But, he wasn't, he wasn't ever gonna be one of my favorites. And, yet he's just so fucking charming. You can't help but love him and enjoy every goddamn second you're with him. And also package deal Oliver. That's also why I'm here primarily. But, it's not like I'm complaining about Gil. I'm just throwing it out there. This is just not how I expected this to, there's certain characters that just come in and you're like, no, I enjoy the route and it's good, but, never gonna be my favorite. And then there's Gil who's like, no, I don't know how I'm here again, and when did this happen? Just comes out of fucking nowhere and sweeps you off your feet. Again, it's more because of the man standing next to him, to be honest with you. I'm here for Oliver. But Gil is charming, so... anyway. Thank you! Anyway. I knew he was just flattering me, but I was glad to feel so welcome. And again, if everybody's actually cool with me being here, it's definitely different than the Foul Zones. Friendly culture in the Visconti family came from Gil being at the top. In light of the recent incidents, Gilbert's occupied with work that will likely take him away from here fairly regularly. So I'll do my best to be around as much as possible. Feel free to come to me if you need anything. Oh my god, this is the best part ever. No offense, Gil, I do love you, but Gil's not gonna be here. That's sad. Oliver will be here. Okay, I'm not disappointed.
No, you'll be too busy, so I can make time to stay here. Space came all this way to see us, after all.
I'm totally fine with seeing Oliver.
I got a full schedule today, but tomorrow will be good. Let's go out together, Signorina. How about lunch?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll work hard today to make up for it. How very diligent of you, Gilbert. In that case, there's a shipment at the wharf to be confirmed, as well as the deal with Casto and company this afternoon. And don't forget that you've been invited to a dinner party for the Tobia residents.
Tobia residents? Probably. Gil stared at Oliver as if he wanted to say something. Oliver, in turn, was calmly sipping on his coffee. Oliver is so oh, and then you've got this and this and this and this. Is that it? Oh no, I've got a long other list. I couldn't help but laugh at their interactions with one another. I know, right? They're such a good comedy duo. The following day, Gil took me out to lunch as promised. Buongiorno, Signor Edward!
Hey, watch it! Don't trip, you hear?
Gil responded to each child's greeting with a smile. Rita feels different from everywhere else. As though all the residents here were in support of the Visconti, regardless of their position in the Mafia. Because Gil's fucking charming. I'm serious! He comes in and just charms the fucking panties off you, and you're like, the hell did this happen? And you're not complaining. I mean, I was complaining in the beginning of this, Gil, how dare you? But if Gil came to you and was like,
listen, I don't want to make you do this, but I think you need to have sex with Dante in order to unlock the seal so we can protect the town.
You'd be like, you know what? I mean, it sounds, yeah, okay, legit, fine. I don't appreciate you making that decision behind my back. But, like, if you came to me and you would know how to word it where you're like, oh, no, it makes absolute sense. I'm with you. Let's do this. You're right. I'll take one for the team. I'm not going to complain about having to sleep with Dante. I'm just throwing it out there. But, I'll just pretend that, it's against my wishes. Like, all right, I guess. And then I get money and get to sleep with Dante. I'm basically like a whore, but, like, whatevs. I'm fine with it. Whatever. We entered a restaurant facing the plaza, which was nearly full this time of day. But it is just funny that he's kind of like wooing you and like flirting around with you, but then secretly thinking like, we might have to make you have sex with Dante and then you're going to fall in love with me along the way. I'm just saying this is the payback. Next to our table was a family.
This tastes so good!
Mom's cooking is great, but it's nice to go out once in a while too.
I appreciate that, dear. I'm sorry for being so clumsy.
We should eat every meal outside until Mother's hand heals. Right, Father?
Yes, that's right.
Is that the family that was in the cuckoo thing? Within minutes, our order arrived. We had orecchiette? I'm probably saying that in the totally wrong accent, but whatever. Anyway, tossed with turnip greens and drizzled with olive oil, fresh tomato salad, and freshly baked rosemary focaccia. Whatever that word is. Anyway, a type of pasta commonly found in Puglia and Silicata. Its name means little ears in Italian because of its shape. It looks like ears? I don't want to eat it.
That's right. I haven't talked to you about Luca moving to Creta, have I?
No, not yet. Is he really moving here?
Yeah, it seems like my guys set things up so he can move in from Strano. He's a sharp little rascal and brings in a lot of interesting information. If he wants, I wouldn't mind having him join the Visconti someday.
Looks like you and Luca are good friends now. I listened to him talk about Luca with a warm contentment in my heart. He must have invited me out so that I could have a change of scenery. I did feel a lot better than before. For a brief moment in time, I was able to forget about the shadow lurking in town. I feel like the shadow lurking in town has something to do with the table next to you, though. Suddenly, Gil glanced at the family next to us. The father of the family was looking at us. Maybe it's because we're talking about the Visconti.
Are you alright? You don't look well. Perhaps, oh father, are you alright? Sorry, perhaps you drank too much.
Oh, right.
We should head home then. Are you able to stand?
I'm fine. Fine.
Son propped up his pale father as the family took their leave. Gil didn't take his eyes off of them. Gil, is something wrong?
Those guys, do they look like a family to you?
Yes, I think so.
Right.
Something must have caught Gil's attention.
Now, getting back to my story about Oliver.
Gil snapped back to his senses and resumed his story as I listened curiously. Wasn't he talking about Luca? But I'm interested in Oliver.
Our whole family loves gossiping about his unrequited love. My guys actually tried to set things up so that he could get closer to her.
Huh?
When Oliver found out, he was furious. Took forever to calm him down.
You cannot throw in Oliver having a romance in this. That's not fair. You know goddamn well we love Oliver game. I hate you. I'm very mad about this. I had no idea. I had no idea. My whole life. Don't stop talking about Oliver's love. You know what? Unrequited romance? Yes, because he's in love with me. You shut your mouth, Gilbert. Trying to force me to sleep with Dante and then telling me Oliver's got a girlfriend. You know what, Gil? We're breaking up after this. I'm done. Break my heart. How dare you? I hate that. Listen, sometimes you want side characters to be happy, but not Oliver unless it's with me. Okay? This is interesting. I'm not even sure Son A is supposed to be in it.
The Visconti family's beloved boss is a man in Creta known for his kindness. The famous Gilbert Redford.
I'm assuming Son A is actually supposed to sound more like an adult than a child, but like whatever.
Even with the government's public stance to vilify the Mafia, it appears that the residents cannot be swayed when it comes to him. Yes, I understand, dear father. You were hoping to convey a message to him, weren't you? To have him save you?
No, I wasn't.
Now, it's all right. I understand, but unfortunately for you, there's no salvation. No, he did seem concerned looking at us. That was a close one. A keen eye like his may become a problem.
I'm wondering if Son A is supposed to be like the Phantom for realsy. You know what I mean? But I don't know, and we're not gonna like read it that way. You know what I mean? So
In any case, I suppose that is it for us. Our relationship as a family has come to an end.
ow, crap! Sorry, I stepped on my headset. Stop, brother! Sorry, something fell off my wall. I was like wondering what the fuck was sitting on my floor. I'm like, what the hell is happening over here? I was like, anyway.
What to do? My dear little sister's pleading to me with tears in her eyes. How can I not fulfill her wishes?
Brother!
Alas, I do not have a sister.
Well, well, here's the thing. So I'm assuming then that we're supposed to read this as if this was the Phantom, but he's like, I don't have a sister. Well, I mean, Henry doesn't anymore, but he did. So then it makes you point out that maybe the Phantom isn't Henry. I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Playing with my toys always leaves behind a mess. Mother, father, we were not together long, but I bid you the fondest farewell.
Seems like this would be the place he's staying, you know what I mean? So it seems like it would be, quote-unquote, the Phantom. But here's the thing. That would bode that it's not Henry, because we would have seen him and been like, hey, I recognize that guy, and she would recognize Henry. You know what I mean? So that makes me feel like the Phantom isn't Henry. Because I highly doubt that's somebody that's not the Phantom. You know what I mean? That would be random, but... We continued a fun conversation while sharing a delicious meal. Every minute was so enjoyable that I lost track of the time. Only all of our days could be this peaceful, while that family was getting brutally murdered. A week had passed since I arrived here. As I walked down the corridor, I saw someone familiar coming out of Gil's room. Buongiorno, Roberto. Roberto simply looked away in silence. He helped provide information to us before, but it seemed that he still hated me. And suddenly...
Hey there, sis!
I turned around and saw Luca dashing toward me with a smile. Been a while, Luca. Have you been well?
Yep.
Even a child his age is associated with the Visconti.
Luca glared at Roberto from behind me.
You got a problem, mister?
Luca...
I'm here working as an informant. Work, you hear? I ain't here to play.
I love the sass of this child.
That makes things even worse. Can't believe a child like you is already being pulled into the world of crime. No. Suppose it's the Mafia's fault for involving innocent children.
Listen! It may be a life of crime, technically, but the poor kid was starving before, and at least he can eat now and take care of his mom, so... I don't see you helping him! He looked anguished by the situation, which made Luca even angrier.
Huh? Here with the police, aren't you?
That's correct.
What exactly have you cops been doing for us? The Mafia gave me money and they even donate to the church so we can all have a decent meal. We got tons of people in Strano trying to make ends meet as it is.
I love this, Luca. Luca continued to glare at Roberto as his voice grew louder and louder. And yeah, Roberto, you work for the police, which are supposed to be the good guys, to be honest, but your fucking father is a twat. Just throwing it out there.
And where are you guys? Sitting around on your asses.
Roberto is really beautiful. The dark hair and those, like, freaking glass green eyes. Like, they're, like, freaking spring green color crayon. You know what I mean? Like, beautiful. I get why people want, like, after Nicholas, you're like, nah, this motherfucker. But, like, I get why people want to date him. I mean, look at that snazzy-ass suit, and he's kind of sexy, you're not going. I still want to date Oliver, but I'm just saying this would have been the perfect game to give us side piece routes. Come on, there's a lot of side pieces here. Maybe Roberto didn't expect such a response from a young child.
Let's go, sis. I'm getting sick just hanging around this guy.
With that, Luca tugged on my hand and pulled me away. I glanced back at Roberto. He hadn't moved at all from where he stood, still too stunned to speak. A few days later, at dinner, Oliver looked at Gil's empty seat with some concern.
Where's Gilbert? Has he still not returned?
No, I think he came back quite a while ago. He may still be in his room. Let me go and call him. I stood from my seat and headed over. Oliver's like, where is he? Is he not eating? Somebody needs to eat. I got these potatoes. I need to feed someone. Like, we have to get somebody at the table for Oliver to feed. Gil? It's me, Space. I knocked on the door, but heard no reply. I slowly opened the door, finding it unlocked. Gil? Gil was sitting on the sofa with his head down, propped up by his hand, staring at a book. I was a bit nervous entering his room like this, but I slowly approached him and looked at his face. He's asleep. He'd been so busy lately, I couldn't be surprised at all. Despite that, he still took the time to bring me out and keep me company. Of course he'd be tired. Gil's face looked much younger as he slept. To think that someone who isn't much older than I was could carry the Visconti family on his back. I kind of want to see, like, Gil sleeping. My heart ached at the thought. Gil suddenly lifted his head up from his hand. Gil, are you awake?
Huh? Wait. Was I sleeping? I love the look on his fucking sprite face right now. It's so cute. Look at him. He's like, huh? His little shocked Pikachu face. I love it.
Yes, you were. It's so adorable. You know why it's even more adorable? Because his eyelashes are like 8 feet long. Like,
man, I wish I hadn't shown you that side of me.
not at all. Even when you sleep, you still look like a mafia boss, albeit adorable. And everyone needs to sleep, especially someone who works as hard as you. Now he's blushing. Oh, we missed it. Sorry, I clicked too fast. I like glanced up and as I clicked him was like he was blushing.
Well, what brings you here?
I wanted to tell you it's time for dinner. The door was unlocked, so I'm sorry for coming in without your permission.
Nah, that's fine. If anything, it's my fault for dozing off. So already dinner, huh? I better hurry down before Oliver gets too worked up.
Oh, he's already worked up. That's why I came up here. Yes, he was wondering where you were, so I'm sure he has a word or two for you.
I'll have to eat during the lecture or else the food's gonna go cold.
Oliver's gonna lecture him about not being there for dinner. Like, Oliver is such everyone's grandpa. I fucking love him. Gil chuckled and stood up from the sofa.
Let's head over. You mind escorting me, Signorina? Oh, and did you keep what you just saw a secret?
Of course. You can trust me. I promise. Second we get there. He was sleeping, Oliver! It was adorable! I just wanted to put a blanket over him and leave him a hard candy. I took the hand Gil offered me, and I thought I saw him blush. Slightly. One night after dinner, I was reading a book in my room. Just a minute, I'm coming. I got up and opened the door. Oliver? I'm not that disappointed that it's Gil, but I'm a little disappointed. I just want Oliver.
Sorry to bother you so late.
No, it's alright. What is it?
You know the research you've been working on? I got a call from Dante asking you to stop by his place tomorrow. Something about books he wants to show you. And so I can bring you over tomorrow on my way to work.
Thank you. I hope he's found a good lead.
Still, take it easy. I mean, you're delving into a subject matter even the Foul Zone doesn't understand completely. Truth is probably buried too far down.
Something about Gil's gentle voice reassuring me made me want to do my best.
Well, good night, Space. Sweet dreams.
Night, Gil. Got ready for bed, looking forward to learning more about the relic tomorrow. October. Oh no, it was the 9th of September because this is the 7th of October, 1926. I like how they put the dates on here. It's like a few days later, and it's like now it's October. I mean, it makes a difference because we have to know when December's coming, you know what I mean? But anyway.
I gathered what books we had that were related to the town's history and the church.
In Dante's office were towering stacks of varying heights.
I don't remember all the details or where to find them, but most of these books Dante and I have read before. And the legend of the relic and the Key Maiden is something that's been passed down by word of mouth, so written records are scarce. And the previous boss, Silvio Falzone, summoned me and Nicola to his office and spoke briefly about the Falzone family's mission. He said that he was going to tell you everything when the time came for you to take the lead, right, Dante?
Dante?
No. To be exact, it would be when the next boss was officially decided. He said only that he'd inform the Falzone family's successor, not me specifically.
Nicola chuckled at Dante's response.
Silvio took good care of me, but I'm pretty certain he had every intention of passing the torch to you, Dante. I wonder...
Nicola looked slightly concerned, then seemed to press forward with greater purpose. And this is where we find out that Dante and Nicola are actually half-brothers. Silvio wasn't his uncle! It was his father! This would be fucking great. That'd be a twist you never saw coming.
If the opposition knew you would succeed him, they'd have focused their attacks solely on you. I was always meant to be a bulwark. I never expected to be the boss, nor have I ever wanted to be. I planned on supporting you as one of your key members from the start. Had I actually taken Silvio's favor toward me at face value, becoming a pompous fool who treated you badly, probably would have succumbed to some cruel fate by now. Conflict resulting from multiple heirs vying for domination rarely ends well. In that sense, Silvio is far better suited to seize the throne than I could ever be. Back on topic. Let's start reading, shall we? Perhaps we'll find something new.
We each picked up a book and began reading. Among them was one that Dante had brought out from inside of his desk drawer. The author is Alberto Falzone?
Yes, the head of the family 5 generations ago. And there isn't much in there aside from a summary of the town's history and the legend.
The legend passed down through generations. The book told of an angel coming down from heaven and bringing a message to the villagers to build a church here. Every resident of Berlone knew this story. I continued to flip through the other books, but none contained details about the relic itself. I mean, I'm pretty fucking sure that there's a lot of books that talk about Jesus. Did we ever figure out what the relic really was? Like an iron crown. Is it really a crown? It's like, I don't know. I just thought we went with the first one. Like, it's Jesus, right? I don't think we ever really figured out. Did we know for certain? I don't remember. I mean, my brain wants to be like, it was Jesus, right? But I think that was just an assumption. I don't know if we ever found out for real. And if we did, my brain just chucked that information out aside from leaving it like, this is where they buried him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And they all look normal to me, but maybe there's some hidden meaning behind what's been written. And then again, it seems we won't be able to find it unless we know what we're looking for. At the very least, we can say there's nothing obvious contained within the Falzone library. And that's a step forward for now.
Dante looked at the clock and nodded.
We still have time.
We were here to see Sister Sophia. She was currently living at an inn that the Falzone family had reserved.
Signor Falzone, Signor Francesca, thank you very much for saving us. We humbly appreciate all you've done.
Sister Sophia expressed her heartfelt gratitude to Dante and Nicola.
May I ask what brings you here today?
There was something we wanted to ask you, Sister Sophia. It has to do with the relic here in Berlone. Sister Sophia was one of very few people who actually knew about the relic. Sister Sophia, do you know how to break the seal to recover it? We know that the Key Maiden's involved, but aside from that...
I'm truly sorry, but I've not heard of the exact process. One thing I did hear was that the method was known only to the Falzone family.
I see. In any case, Sister Sophia, have you been having any trouble during your stay?
Seeing that Sister Sophia looked apologetic, Dante quickly changed the subject. She's like, only your family knows. And he's like, yeah, well, my dad didn't bother to tell me.
Why, there's been no trouble whatsoever. We're truly blessed to be here. And the police have sent word that they've concluded their investigation of the church grounds. Aside from needing improvements in certain areas, overall everything seems fine.
I see. We will provide the funds for the improvements. I'm certain the Visconti will also lend their support.
I cannot thank you enough for your generosity, Signor Falzone. We're forever grateful to the Falzone and the Visconti families for taking care of the church.
Well, we did use the church as a meeting place, and considering that it blew up under our watch, we certainly could have taken better care of it. Like how Nicola's like, I mean, girl, like, thanks, none.
Sister Sophia smiled at Nicola's effort to lighten the mood, then spoke in a calm voice.
Once repairs have been made, we'll return to the church to resume our duties. We have a responsibility to the townspeople as well. A place where they can ask for help should not be left unattended.
I didn't sense any fear from her at all. Okay, like, it's the Alternativa ending, so I'm not really sure where that split from the original one, but I mean, like, she has been punched by Orlok, so I don't think she's got any fear. This woman has been through shit. She's like, I got punched from somebody who worked at the church. And then my church blew up. Like, girl, I ain't got no fear enough. Like, she doesn't even have the fear of God in her. She is not afraid. God could come down and she'd be like, I'll take him out. Like, I'm just saying. Sister Sophia is the real MVP here.
I'll also add that the children are eager to return. Of course, some of them are frightened after what happened, but I've been watching them carefully and may move those affected to another location if necessary. As for the future, we're prepared for any change to our circumstances.
I see. By all means, let us know if we can be of more assistance.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sister Sophia smiled with a respectful nod. We read what books we could at the manor and spoke with Sister Sophia, but we weren't able to learn any new information. I couldn't say it came as a surprise. Not even the traditional way of breaking the seal was well known. Finding an alternate way seemed almost futile. No doubt it'd be difficult to research a method we couldn't even be sure existed.
If there was another way of breaking the seal, I'd assume it'd be something passed down through the Falzone family. If so, then we need to look into a different source not connected to the Falzone and the church. In any case, it's getting late. We should call it a day.
Just as Dante brought the day's work to an end, we heard a clamor in the distance. Oh, is it already time for the Sagra? Sagra? That's what that is? A festival that can celebrate a religious figure or local specialty of the region in which it's held. There are many that celebrate food and drinks such as olive oil, chestnuts, or wine. There's a festival that celebrates olive oil? Somehow not surprised, to be honest.
It seems to be. Well, why don't we go and check it out? It's almost dinner time, so the food should be about ready. You two go on.
Dante shook his head and tried to refuse. I was sure he was concerned with the image of the Falzone boss joining in on such a festivity. Oh, come on, sweetie, you gotta have fun. But,
Dante, it's alright to do a thing like this once in a while. This is a relatively small one.
yes, there's nothing wrong with attending a local festival. Also, I mean, I think it's just because he's like, I'm gonna get real drunk real fast. Like,
you really want to go?
He looked at me, so I responded with a sincere nod. You don't mind. I haven't attended many sagre before. Sagre?
Understood. Then, just for a moment.
Thank you, Dante. It had gotten darker by the time we arrived at the plaza. It's particular Sagra was held in autumn, paying tribute to our local grape harvest. See? That's like getting drunk. Okay, you're celebrating wine now, probably. In addition to wine, there was a variety of food and desserts for everyone to enjoy. This sounds amazing. I'll go and get something for us, so you two can go and find a place to sit. As Nicola walked off, Dante and I looked around for some empty seats in the crowded plaza. Oh god, he's not going to blow this up, is he? Nicola found us later, returning frequently from the stalls to bring back wine and fresh grapes. He also brought us a grape-flavored Piambella? No, or I don't know how to pronounce Italian words, I'm sorry. Anyway, and a plate of gnocchi. Is it gnocchi or gnocchi? 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 Is that how it's? I don't know, anyway. Drizzled with balsamic sauce. Soon, he reappeared with the crispy porchetta, roasted pork flavored with herbs. I thought the festival would be smaller, but there seemed to be many food stalls set up. I mean, he basically brought us back like a feast. We may have Marino's influence to thank for that. Last year they held a spectacular grape festival. Marino, an Italian city in Lazio, famous for its white wine. Ah, I read about that in the paper. Didn't they have a fountain of wine too? A wine fountain? That sounds awesome. That's the one. I believe it was to commemorate the old victory at the Battle of Lepanto? Oh my god, there's too much Italian going on here. Anyway. Naval battle that took place on October 7th, 1571 between the Ottoman Navy and the Allied navies of the Holy League. We're learning shit. Combined with the traditional offerings of grapes in the parade and historical costumes. Yes, and celebrated alongside the feast day. And there was a procession for Madonna del Rosario. Madonna del Rosario. Wow. I don't know why I couldn't read that in Dante's voice. Like, sometimes words just don't work. Anyway, as well. That's right. I'd love to attend someday. I've hardly ever left town. There's so much to see outside of Berlin. You remember when we all went to Rome in the spring? So much fun. I know it wasn't for leisure, but it was the first time I traveled outside of town. First time I traveled. It's like not terminology, it's like a flashback, but Nicola, Dante, and Orlok traveled with the heroine to Rome to investigate the incident that took place in Berlin in April 1926. Where would you like to travel next? Here? Well, that's a tough question, but anywhere would be wonderful. I felt myself blushing as I responded. And see, now Dante's flirting with us a little. I'd love to see Rome again, but also other countries too. France, Germany, Austria. There's so many beautiful places to visit. Henry will take you to France. Oliver would take us to Germany. This might not be the best time to go. It's 1926, we might be okay. We're pushing the limits of when it's okay. Sometimes I buy tourist guides, even if I have no way of going. It's fun just reading and imagining what it'd be like to go there. Perhaps because of all the lively chatter surrounding us, I found myself talking at length with Dante and Nicola, listening attentively. Good God! Words! The night went on as we enjoyed ourselves. I'm really concerned about this festival and the fact that it didn't blow up. I mean, I'm happy, but, I was concerned for it. It happened 5 days ago. Uh-oh. So, it's finally arrived? Yes, the very thing you've been waiting for. I was getting ulcers worrying about them being seized on arrival, but I'm glad they arrived safely. Oliver breathed a sigh of relief, and I quickly went to check the goods that came in. Are these the guns? He bought guns the last time we played in his route. The lounge was filled with crates containing the firearms I ordered. Among them, one particular box stood out. A beautifully wrapped gift box. Wait. Uh-oh. A record? Yeah, it was with the other crates. The fact that it came here means the guy must know you're staying with us now. Nobody's around to eavesdrop, so let me know when you're ready to hear what it says. That's because I'm pretty fucking sure he was sitting with the family next to us. Because I don't think that son A, you know what I mean? I know I read it with because I wasn't sure when we first started the first kook part, right? But it's weird because if it's Henry, we would have recognized him. So I don't know what to really think about that, but thank you, Gil. I think we should listen to it as soon as possible. I took a few deep breaths to prepare myself for what was to come. The sixth record slowly began to spin on the gramophone. You know what the funny part is? Is like, I mean, this is definitely all going to be all different because we don't have a lot going on back and forth. But like, the only choice in this chapter is the Visconti. So I wonder if you could like swap and be like, nope, actually, in this one, now I want to go back to like, someone else's house. No, because the answers in chapter 2 of Dante and Nicholas are different. Anyway, the sixth record slowly began to spin on the gramophone.
Hey, Space. Can you hear me? There's something that's been bothering me. I always assumed that humans wouldn't die if a pound of flesh was shaved away from them. Shylock's quite the fool for employing such a roundabout method with Antonio. Otherwise, perhaps he didn't desire to kill him in full. And those thoughts were running through my mind as I conducted an experiment of my own. The result, you ask? Why, death, of course. I can confirm that, unless the victim is lucky, no intervention will save them from death. In any case, the play asked for a pound of flesh, but not a drop of Christian blood, in accordance with the laws of the time. However, to do so seems impossible to the point of being set in fantasy. You see, I'm not a believer of God. I especially don't like using religion as a shield to condemn one side or the other. Back in my youth, I imagined many ways one might remove flesh without spilling any blood. I'm sure there's a way. After all, do we not leave many things to the hands of professionals? And thus we arrive at my purpose for sending this record. I suppose I've been quite generous with my hints, haven't I? I'm very sorry I denied you the pleasure of solving the riddle yourself this time around. And now then, that should be all for now. Please think hard about my words, dear Signorina.
Oh, you know what though? Actually, that's fucking brilliant because because before, okay, it was in the last part when we were like, okay, so they put the body in the barrel and it was like, that's the Visconti, and then the rats was a Lao Shu, and then you're like, what are they gonna do for fucking the Falzone, right? And then he's like a shaving up, and I'm like, oh yeah, it just clicked to me right now, like, oh yeah, because like Dante like literally skinned Raoul, he was really good at chopping bits and pieces off people. Yeah, we kind of saw that in Dante's route, so this makes sense. This is yeah. Uh-huh. Alright, okay. Okay, but again, so now I'm leaning toward maybe it's not really Henry. We keep thinking it is, and they keep pointing to him, but I don't think it is, because I'm leaning now more toward it's not, because she would have recognized him, because if they were just talking about him in general, like, oh, the Direttore, whatever, but there was one point in the very beginning of this route, she flashed back on Henry as himself, not as the Direttore, right? So if Henry was the one sitting there with that family, so we know now, I mean, this is pretty clear that, oh, I did an experiment and shaved pieces off. That's that family he just murdered. Which, in the very Dante-esque way. You know what I mean? So then that person with that family was the Phantom. We would have looked and she would have noticed and been like, oh, wait, I've seen that guy. That, she had to know that that was the Direttore because, like, we were talking about him and she flashed back to him. So, I mean, I guess you could say, if she didn't know Henry and the Direttore were the same person, but I feel like she does, because why would she have flashed back on his face? You know what I mean? When we were talking about him earlier in the route. But, so she would have recognized him. And if he was sitting there with a mask or something on, that would have looked really suspicious. So, unless she's like, oh, there's a family next to us, and didn't actually, like, look at him, but then, like, god damn it, be more observant when someone's after you. You know? Or especially, like, when Gil called attention to them. Like, I looked over and the father was staring at us. Maybe it's because we're at the Visconti. Don't you think you would have glanced around the rest of the family and then seen him and been like, wait, Unless his back was to us. You know what I mean? Then possibly. But it's just making me feel like it's not Henry. You know what I mean? That this person wants us to think that it's Henry, even though half the things seem like Henry and half of them don't. So I'm still going to read it in the Henry voice just because we don't have another voice and I don't really know, but I'm starting to lean toward it's not. Because that whole bit seems a little sus. And if it is, I want them to explain to me how the fuck she didn't recognize him. Like, is she just being stupid? Or, like, was his back turned to us? Like, how are you going to explain that away, you know? Anyway, the recording ended and the room was filled with silence. Gil kept quiet with a hard look on his face. I felt that we were both trying to suppress our anger. My heart wrenched with pain hearing the Phantom so disrespectful toward human life.
I'll contact Dante and Yang.
Okay. The Phantom was as cryptic as ever in his message, but I did understand a few things. In particular, he was trying to lead us to his...
Hey, boss! Give me some pork belly, will ya? How much you want? 10 libres worth. You got it. Let me get that ready for you. It won't be a minute.
Thanks! Oh god, he's gonna find those butchered up people.
What the? Ah!
What's happening? Found shaved up people. Call the police!
Hey, who ain't right there? Don't call him yet. Let me check it out first, if you don't mind. Depending on what it is, the Falzone family will take care of it.
Everyone gathered for a meeting in the salon at the Falzone Manor.
The Phantom was referring to that play in his message, wasn't he? With Shylock and his pound of flesh, I can think of nothing more fitting than The Merchant of Venice.
A play by Shakespeare set in medieval Italy between Venice and the fictional city of Belmont. Okay. When they were talking about that, I couldn't remember the play, but it just... Okay. We're having such fun flashback times, and all we're playing with this. We talked about the Phantom of the Opera, and I'm giving you another fun bit. When I took a Shakespeare class, like a film class, you know, so we, like, watched a bunch of Shakespeare movies, blah, 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 whatever. But we had to, like, write a paper and, like, watch a movie and analyze it and write a paper on it, whatever. Anyway. So I decided that the fun part would be, okay, back in, like, ye olde days before my college years, I worked at a party store. And, like, at Halloween, you know, they put out all the Halloween stuff, and they put out, like, the scary Halloween movies. But, like, not, like, Halloween. They put out, like, cheesy ones. Like, one of them, I forget the name of the movie. But it literally had Jack Nicholson was in it, like, young Jack Nicholson, okay? And I bought that. And I also bought one with Vincent Price called Theater of Blood. Alright, because Vincent Price is just a gem. Okay? Right? So... Theater of Blood is basically, I swear to God, if you haven't seen it, all I remember when I watched it is the funniest fucking thing. Because it's supposed to be like a scary, creepy movie. But because it was like back in like the 70s or 80s when it was, I don't even remember, it was fucking old, okay? When I bought these, they were on VHS. Not because DVDs didn't exist, but it was like, for some reason, they were on VHS. I still have that floating around my house somewhere. Like, it's in a bin store, and I will never get rid of it, and I want it on like stream something. So I remember using it because basically Vincent Price was supposed to be a Shakespearean actor. And, like, all his plays would always get, like, negative reviews. So he would then, like, the whole plot is him murdering the reviewers in the style of the play. And one of them was literally, like, he was doing The Merchant of Venice and they left a shitty review. So he snuck into the reviewer's house and basically, like, sliced him up. But, like, I just remember... It's supposed to be gory and gross, but because it's like an old movie, you're like, it's not like modern horror movies where you're like, now it's psychological horror. But even like 10, 20 years ago horror movies, you were like, they were gory and gross and, this was like, it's one of those, you're like, nah, I can't take this serious. This is cheesy as shit, right? It's one of those cheesy as shit horror movies. But like, also, he was just so gleefully slicing this guy up. And, like, some of the shit, probably because he was spouting the lines, but whatever. But the way he was doing it was just so funny. It shouldn't have been. You're like, I'm watching a movie and he's doing some horror, but it was just ridiculously absurd and over the top. And that was my first association when we're reading this and he's like, the pound of flesh, and I was like, oh my god, and I just got flashbacks. We're learning so much Spacey lore in this fucking game. I can't help it. This fucking route is like bringing all the fucking little nostalgia beans out. And like, and I haven't watched that movie since, so now I could probably watch it and be like, yeah, no, this is, but at the time when I watched it, I was like, this should not be funny, but it kind of fucking is. Like, it is just over the top. Like, because it was also I feel like it was slightly overacted, you know what I mean? It was but it wasn't like good dramatic, it was very dramatic, you know what I mean? Like melodramatic, where it's like cheesy and corny, and like, I don't think it was meant to be like, serious, dark. I think it was meant to be like slightly over the top, like comedic kind of gore. I don't know, but that's just and it's just, as all I fucking remember, like thinking about this, and I'm just, oh my god. I love the fact that this is giving me like the weird nostalgia beans, and I'm just sharing them with you, and I'm sorry, but this is hilarious to me. Anyway, The Merchant of Venice. Okay. A play by Shakespeare set in medieval Italy between Venice and the fictional city of Belmont. Yes, I think you're right. I had my guys check out the homes of some loan sharks, but we found nothing. What concerned me was when he mentioned leaving it in the hands of professionals. And so I had my men inspect the butchers in town, and we discovered a body in Arca. And apparently it was frozen and dangling from the ceiling with all the other cuts of meat. Killed beforehand? Most likely, given that it was decapitated, though the state of the corpse was different from the others we found before. For one, the victim was male and still fully dressed. I wonder why he changed his methods this time. He was dressed in military attire. Not a ceremonial uniform, but one used for actual combat. There must have been some meaning behind it, but I didn't know what exactly. But remember, didn't we also get, in the beginning of this, that we know that Dante and Nicola were in the war? And Dante slices people really well. I'm just saying.
Oh, did you happen to find a frosted record alongside the body?
We sure did. Leo got to it before the police.
Well, that's a waste of time for us to continue speculating. We should let him divulge his lunatic thoughts as he's in the habit of doing. We can then crowd together and dissect his words as we are in the habit of doing.
Yang's like, put the record on! Yes, I'm ready. I nodded with resolve when I saw that Nicola had turned to look at me. With that, he took the record out of the glass case and walked over to the gramophone. Again, I just want to know where he's getting all these cases! Why is the Scooby Gang not on that? Soon, the record began to play the message.
Good day to you. This is your beloved Phantom. The one I killed this time was not a soldier, but an ordinary civilian. I just so happened to have an old uniform in his size and thought it would look stupendous. Does it not inspire nostalgia for anyone in particular? Those were the days. The country was filled with such patriotism.
And now you wonder, though, right? And then he's like, he wasn't in the military, I just happen to have a uniform. Okay. So obviously nostalgia for anyone. We know Nicola, probably Dante too. Also based on the acrylic stands I have of them in like uniform. Just throwing that out there. But I'm wondering if the Phantom was perhaps someone that was also served with them. Maybe they somehow knew him on it. Well, okay. If it's not Henry. But Henry, I thought, I mean, obviously we know Henry's really Henry, not Sebastiano Gallier, right? But if I remember correct, now I'm just throwing this out there because I don't remember, but it's leading me to speculate that this, like, Sebastiano Gallier is a real person. If they did some background history, but it being the 1920s here, that they could have killed the real Sebastiano. Henry took over his identity, became the direttore. You know what I mean? But, because at first I was like, well, what if it's the real Sebastiano? Not dead. I mean, whatever. But then they would know, hey, wait, wasn't he in the military with us? Type of a thing. So, okay. But it's just weird that they keep researching the Direttore and all that stuff and whatever. If it's not him, then it has to be tied to him in some way, I would think. Or he's totally a red herring. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, who knows?
As for me, I always thought war to be futile. Conflicts for the purposes of stealing land, money, abusing the lives of the innocent. What a horrible way to live. I refused to muddy myself for the country's outdated desires and avoided joining any military expeditions.
Okay, well, there goes that. It's not someone that was in the military with them.
But I do regret it now. For you see, I was but a mere child then. A soldier celebrated for each life they take. It would have suited me very well. I should have joined the war.
I was a child then, but I don't think Dante and Nicola, if they're old enough, because Nicola was in college, right? I don't think Henry was that much younger. So this, again, leads to, we're starting to lean more toward it's not Henry.
Well, I believe I've made my mention of this, but I'm enamored of all beautiful things. I'm particularly fond of your golden hair, and have often imagined laying your head upon my lap to caress it.
Oh, my head is attached to my body, right? Because I'm just saying, you have a habit.
Ah, Francesca's another beautiful specimen. Are you startled to hear your name? Or did you perhaps expect it?
Is our future phantom boyfriend bisexual? Because I'm here for this. This is fine. I can share.
Your hands are particularly lovely. Won't you be so kind as to give them to me? I will ensure their perfect preservation.
Is Nicola also good at slicing people up? I would assume it runs in the family.
You can at least do that much, couldn't you? After all, it was the Burlone Mafia who took away my beloved. Ah, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe my identity is still a mystery to you. How disappointing. So very disappointing indeed. But please do better in getting to know me. Listen carefully. True friendship is not a one-way road. After you say your nightly prayers before you sleep, remember to think of me. And please look back on the words I've spoken and think of me as I think of you.
This is interesting. They took away my beloved. I mean, again, with Henry, they didn't, when you say beloved, it sounds more like your lover, like they took a woman away from you. Chloe was Henry's sister, your beloved sister, but you wouldn't say, well, I mean, I guess if you're trying to be vague, my beloved sister. You know what I mean? But it's a weird way to say it because I feel like if someone said, they took my beloved from me, you'd be like, oh, like your wife or your girlfriend, right? Or your boyfriend. I don't know what the story is, bro. But you know what I mean? So, like, that again leads to it's starting to feel like it's not Henry. I feel like that was leading us, thinking it was leading us down the wrong path just to kind of give you more dramatics. So, still going to read it like it's Henry just because we don't have another voice, but whatever. We're just going to pretend that the Phantom sounds a lot like Henry when he shows up and it's not Henry. You know what I mean? When the recording finished, no one spoke. Finally, Dante turned to Nicola with a serious expression and broke the silence. Did you do... I'm just kidding. Don't think about what he said, Nicola. My hands are for the fell zone. I can't give them up so easily, no matter how much the Phantom wants them. And Nicola's like, I am not giving my hands to anyone, don't worry. He answered calmly, not appearing affected by the ominous message. But he almost seems too calm. It didn't even seem as though he was surprised to hear the Phantom address him. You hiding?
I must admit, I don't understand him at all. Not that I have any desire to do so. But what about Francesca's hands makes them special? Seems to me they use the same hands as any other.
I mean, he didn't exactly explain himself. All I could tell is that he's into taxidermy. Warlock nodded in agreement before chiming in.
At this time, it doesn't have obvious ties to any particular mafia family. The wine barrel represented the Visconti, and the rats represented the Lao Shu. But being frozen...
When he mentioned, like, Nicola specifically, I was like, he's calling out Nicola, but Dante was the good at slicing people up. But this one, but see, that's the thing. When he talked about the Merchant of Venice and the pound of flesh, well, it could be because you get pounds of flesh, animal flesh, at a butcher, and that's where he hit the person. So that could have been the clue. But it also made it sound like he sliced the family up, and that was Dante. You know what I mean? Anyway. The Phantom's murders may not be representing the families themselves, but rather us as individuals. Nicholas spoke as though he had figured out the Phantom's reasoning. What did you do? What do you mean? What did you do is the right question, girl. He responded, now that I've heard his most recent message, this body was directed at me.
Well then, the rats used for torture didn't symbolize the Lao Shu, but rather it symbolized me. How delightful.
Despite saying so, Yang appeared irritated as he gave a cold and sinister smile. Why do you say this murder was directed toward you, Nicola? I mean, he did tell us about the war thing, and that's what this uniform, I'm guessing, so. I served in the military before. The Phantom brought up the subject of war. That's why you made the person wear the uniform.
And isn't it sort of a stretch to connect it to Nicola just because of that?
I also have an idea who was killed. It is someone I knew before.
Wait. If I'm not mistaken, we still never found out who the previous victims were, right?
Oh my god. Oh. Remember when we said that when that thing came up and it was like Gina? And I'm like, why is it Gina? I'm like, unless she ends up dead. She's the person that got eaten by the rats because she talked to... She was hitting on Yang, right? And then the woman in the wine barrel is probably Elenia, the flower lady. Like, nobody's mentioned that she's missing or gone. It's been like weeks. Nobody's noticed. I mean, that's the thing. Here's the weird part, right? It's been several I mean, it's been at least a week, let's just say, okay? It's been long enough that if Elenia was missing, somebody should have gone to the police and been like, yo, Elenia the flower lady's been missing for like a week, yo. I'm just saying, the hooker, maybe nobody would have noticed. You know, or like if a prostitute went to the cops and was like, my prostitute friend's missing, they'd be like, and we care why? You know what I mean? But like, the flower lady? I'm just throwing it out there. Nobody noticed they were missing?
Right. The police haven't found anything yet. The bodies were headless and lacked any identification.
Nicola continued without any particular emotion. And it's funny when they found the body with the rats and everything, and he was like, oh, the Lao Shu. The first thing I thought of was that Gina lady, but I was like, oh, whatever. Like, did I read Nicola continue without any particular emotion? Anyway, there you go. The victim was the barman of an establishment I frequented. He had a unique scar on his body. The body struck me too familiar when I checked. And sure enough, I found he went missing a few days ago. I see. So the Phantom is going around killing those that we know.
Well, it still makes no sense. That'd be far more effective to make an example of our soldiers. If he's choosing his victims on a social basis, there's no way of predicting who'll be next.
It's true. That's exactly why. It also meant that we had no way to stop him. So the deaths are finally connecting. Now, is there anything else to report in relation to the Phantom? I know we're over time, but these parts just keep going, I'm sorry. Hill was the first to respond to Dante's query.
Turned out the Chicago Mafia bought the speakeasy from the Phantom. In exchange, the Phantom bought something expensive from the Mafia.
Oh? Whatever could it be?
A way to record gramophones? Yang smiled curiously. A glass box factory?
He might have even given him his speakeasy as part of the payment to help fund his purchase. Or maybe his way of apologizing to them for causing a ruckus in the way he conducted his business and ate into their profits.
In any case, I suppose it's safe to say that the Phantom in Chicago had some kind of deal.
Yeah, but I wasn't able to find out what the Phantom actually purchased. At the very least, the Chicago Mafia is being tight-lipped about it. So finding out might take a while, but I'll keep digging.
Hill chuckled as he ended his report, and Yang began to speak.
About the Direttore's past, I found nothing of particular interest. As I said before, I'm gathering information on
From the... Well, I can't pronounce that anyway.
Using the Luhon Who's contacts. Still, there's nothing that's been said yet about his background that we don't already know.
And not surprising, really. All we could find was the Diratore's tenure with the government back to his time in Rome.
Further than that, there was nothing. Don't even know how long he'd lived in it. It'll take some time to obtain reliable information, but I believe we'll soon find something that'll lead us to him.
Wasn't sure if it was just a hunch on his part or he had an actual lead. At the very least, I could tell by how he spoke that he was very confident in that belief.
And, what about you, Falzone? Do you have anything to share?
Because I feel like this scene, honestly, should happen regardless of whose route you're in, because everybody's here. Like, all the Gil-specific scenes and all that stuff, like, is different, but this, you should be able to skip when we go down any other route. You know what I mean? Because it's the exact same. I'm just throwing it out there, but...
Let me begin with what I know about the government. As you all know, the fascists are pursuing us.
Since last year, the fascist parties declared Berlin their next target after Sicily. But we heard an interesting rumor spreading within the party. Rumor that Berlin will fall on its own, even before Sicily does. Wait, so they know what's going on here? They know that the Phantom's threatening us?
And we can't be sure of that yet.
All we know is that they sense there's something in the works here that'll take us down for good.
I see. Well, if it's as easy as they say, that'll be quite the spectacle to witness.
I'd rather find out what it is and nip it in the bud as soon as possible. Rest assured, we have some clarity on the situation. We won't let anyone take down the Berlin Mafia.
We've been in contact with the town council.
To share too. It is possible someone in the church has revealed the secret of the relic to an outsider. Measures have been taken to keep something like it from happening again.
So the Phantom's got a guy on the inside who leaked the information, huh?
If so, this is a comical turn of events. The church has strangled itself in its own aggression, and is now eager to ask for our aid.
Yang chuckled scornfully.
The church's honor. If there's anyone collaborating with the Phantom, I'll find them and take care of them myself.
It just really sucks that these parts go on forever because, like, my neck hurts like a motherfucker and I'm starving. And I was like, it's okay, the part's gonna end soon. It's like 20 minutes. I'm like, Jesus, like, I'm starving.
It would be easier if we knew where the Phantom was hiding. At the moment, we can't even be sure what he looks like. Yeah, and unless he decides to wear his fancy mask outside, odds are we're not going to find him by chance.
I'm looking into areas around town that are good places to hide, but it's been difficult. I haven't found anything so far. I wonder if the family... Remember when, like, Gil was like, do they look like a family to you? And we're like, huh, yeah, I guess. I'm wondering if he's like, do they look like a family? Because they don't look related. So it's just random people that he kidnapped and now, like, he killed them and he's leaving their bodies around. Like, you know what I mean? They're just random people.
That is meaningless to try and capture the Phantom with how little we know. His actions are completely random. That'd be another story if they moved as an organization of some kind. There's no way we can find a single man hiding among the 20,000 in this town.
Monte gave a sigh, hearing Yang's comment. He then tiredly responded.
Even so, we still need to try and locate his whereabouts. Let's continue our investigations.
Oh, and the police haven't announced it yet, but... found a family of 4 dead in their home in Falce. I heard it was a gruesome scene.
Okay, so that's totally separate then. I assumed the guy in that was the person that he hung up, but okay.
I believe they committed suicide, but... Suicide, you say? The bodies was badly decomposed, as if they had died much earlier than the others.
That's the son that he killed. So horrible.
Now, this is the first I've heard of it. Since Marco's been out of the field, he may not be getting these developments in real time.
We don't know if this incident's related to the Phantom, but we should keep it in mind.
If it's not, then it's kind of disturbing. Who else is killing people randomly? Bill's expression was cloudy. He seemed to have something on his mind that he was hesitant to bring up.
You know, we should talk about your involvement too.
Me?
The record found its way to you. That means the Phantom's tracking your movements. If you'd like, you can use this opportunity to move someplace else. Not that doing so will shake him off at all.
I pondered over Gil's suggestion. I like how we could change where we go, but the weird thing is I wonder what would happen, because it's not... Actually, no. This scene isn't the same, because we get this choice here. And I don't think... Oh no, maybe it is, because I'm just scrolling up to Dante's because it's right before this. There is a point where you, like, there's a different... Because you're either, like, you go to Dante's office or you go talk to Nicola or something like that. I forget what Nicola's is. Then there is the foul zone. So maybe that's a choice, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden this scene, and you choose to stay with the foul zone. You know what I mean? So maybe... Oh, yeah, because there's another time where you say the Visconti family, and the foul zone, Okay. So there are probably scenes like this that are the same. Okay. Because that's what I was wondering, like, how can you do the entire freaking game be totally different, right? But, okay. It seems like this scene is exactly the same, but your choice is going to be different. So we'll end up skipping probably through all of this. Hopefully, because it's the same stuff, so it should be, like, regardless of what other scenes you see, you know? The way a normal route would be. You know what I mean? Even though we're going to get the Gilbert ending, we chose the Visconti, which leads to you seeing scenes A, B, C, and G. And if you choose the foul zone, it's like Q, R, but G is the... You know what I mean? Like, that made no sense, but you know what I mean. Anyway, we choose the Visconti again, obviously. I'd like to stay with the Visconti family. Of course, that is if you don't mind, Gil. And they do this. And so, like, I'd like to stay with you. I'd like, if you don't mind continuing to have me, because you could have been with the foul zone and then jump ship. I do like the fact that we could, like, fucking boyfriend hop, though. That's fun.
Of course I don't mind. I'm honored you choose me. Here's to us and the good times to come, Signorina.
Thank you, Gil. I appreciated his warmth and friendliness, feeling myself more relaxed already. With that, it was decided that I'd stay with the Visconti family. I mean, I'd stay with them, or I'd stay with them. You know what I mean? Like, stay has different connotations depending on the meaning behind, like, whatever. Chapter 3! Alright, well, anyway. And the meanwhile stories are different, so. But we are going to stop here because it is, like, way beyond time, and this is well, I mean, it's only like 20 minutes long. The 18th of October. Anyway. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.